Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season, we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we are covering The Bear Season 4, and today we're on episode 4, titled Worms. We're flying through this season. It's so fun. If you haven't watched this episode yet, this is your spoiler alert. Please check out the episode and watch it before continuing to listen to the rest of our conversation. All right. As always, I'm very excited to hear this summary of episode 4 for The Bear.
You are once again not ready.
Is this summary?
This is another one-word summary. Would you like to venture a guess as to what the one word might be? You don't have to.
I can't even.
Okay.
Yes.
The summary is decisions.
Oh my gosh. I can't. I can't with this show. We've got opportunities. We've got decisions. You know what? Here's the thing. I am upset when the episode summary, the season of or a movie or an episode of television, it's just like not what happens in the episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes they be doing that. They're like, this character experiences finally reconciles. I'm like, I didn't see any reconciliation in this episode. Did we watch it? Is that the next episode? So some decisions were made. That is fitting.
Indeed.
That's fitting indeed. From many characters. At least 2 of our main characters make some big decisions. All right. Episode titles for this 4th episode. Sarah, what is yours?
My title is Pizza House.
And my episode title is Stinky's Special House.
Yes! We got it. Amazing.
Oh, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased. You know, we've covered the full spectrum of possibilities.
Yep.
And
yeah. Both sleepovers are represented.
Yes, exactly. It'd be interesting if we both picked the same one, actually. You know? Yeah. Notable that we went with different options. I like it. All right. So a very different type of episode this season than what we've seen so far. Kind of very fitting for the pacing and where the bear likes to kind of put this format of episode, and I think the right timing for it too. So tell me your thoughts about this special, unique 4th episode of The Bear, season 4.
Yeah, this definitely worked for me. I think that this episode really illustrates some of the things that the bear is so good at, and using these one character centered episodes to explore not only the character, but to help push the plot forward as well. And I think that this episode really does that, which is kind of interesting because I feel like in season 3, we were kind of wondering, like, where are we going? This is feeling meandering. Like, at this same point in the season, we were like, where is this going? But I feel like this episode not only pushes the plot forward, but we get to see so much more about Sydney and how she's processing through everything. Something that we had mentioned on a previous episode is like, where's Sid? Like, we want to spend more time with her. And so I'm glad that we got this episode to just really get an insight into her mind and how she's thinking about this really big decision that's before her and these 2 sleepovers that she's invited to.
Yes. 2 sleepovers, very different vibes. I loved this episode so much. I think this captures what the bear does so well, which is really going deeper into who these characters fundamentally are. And then that shapes the decisions that they make. I was thinking while this episode was unfolding, we haven't seen all these sides of Sid before, you know? Like, I think we've gotten some little insights into her life outside of the kitchen. We got to see, I think, an episode or 2 of her like wandering Chicago, but even then she's still kind of in chef mode. There's maybe a few moments and scenes that she has conversations with her father at the diner and over a meal or on the phone. But man, for the most part, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's all these dimensions and versions of Sid beyond just her kitchen chef self. And that was really fun to see. And her silly, goofy side, the way she connects with TJ and her sassy side. I love seeing all these more undone, unfiltered sides of Sid that we've just literally never gotten to see before. And it's been 3 seasons of The Bear. And so that was really refreshing. And I think also is an insight into how much she actually is, curating what sides of herself she feels like she can show in the kitchen. And I think it'll be really neat to see over the course of this season where those moments are where we get to see this Sid in relationship with all of her other team members. Like, I feel like we've seen more of this version of Sid with Marcus and the way that they can banter together and be silly and make fun of each other and kind of that lighter, sillier, goofier side of her. So I think that'll be fascinating to see of like understanding when Sid is most comfortable perhaps and when she can bring other sides of herself into these contexts that live within the kitchen so far mostly. So that was really refreshing to see. I love in general when characters are talking about something but they're actually talking about something else. I think that tension is really fun, and this whole episode is that, like we're talking about sleepovers and houses, but we all know what we're actually talking about. I think that indirect way to have this conversation, to unveil the way Sid's thinking about this decision as she's talking to her 11-year-old little baby cousin, I think was a genius choice from the show too. Because she's almost able to be more honest because she's not talking directly about something. And I feel like we do that as humans a lot as well.
And I love how that conversation kind of evolves too, because she
Mm.
it really shows like what she wants too, especially when TJ is like, nah, dude, pick the pizza house. Like, what are you even doing? The
Yes.
pizza house is great. You want the stinky house? No. But I loved that because then, Sid goes on this whole monologue about how much she loves
Mm.
the stinky house and she could maybe fix it up and like all of these things. And it's just kind of like
Yeah.
word vomiting all of these things that are inside of her that she probably hasn't verbalized yet. And so I just thought that that was such a brilliant way to gain insight into her mind and what she's been thinking, because we know a little bit about what I think a lot of other people in this situation are thinking, but we
Yeah.
haven't had the time to actually learn, like, Sid, where are you in all of that? We've just seen her avoiding Shapiro's
Mm.
calls, basically, is it, and not signing
Yeah.
the partnership agreement. And so I really loved how we got that insight into what she truly wants and like kind of that wrestling she's been doing that maybe she isn't even fully aware of, that she has been like truly grappling with all of this. Yeah, I loved how that all just came like pouring out of her, because that's so true to us as human beings. And we'll be faced with a decision and we're not sure what we want, and sometimes you just kind of got to like word vomit it all out, and that helps you process actually what you do desire.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's almost like when somebody outside of you that has no, like, is not a stakeholder in the situation, uh, defends one side or the other, or has an opinion on one side or the other, and you find yourself getting really defensive about the choice that you actually want, that's when you didn't even realize how much you wanted that option. A small microcosm example is when you're like, let's go out to eat. Should we get sushi or should we get burgers? And you're like, either choice is great with me. Like, both sound good. And someone's like, oh, I want burgers. And you're like, wait, but I kind of wanted sushi though. And you're like, oh, well, I guess I do know what I want now. But you genuinely think that you're good with either option, or that you can see both sides of either option. But like you mentioned in that conversation, she's so calm and analyzing both the good and the bad of Stinky House and Pizza House. And as the conversation's unfolding, her emotion crescendos and she gets really worked up defending Stinky House. And I think that is telling. But what makes this even more interesting is that by the end of the episode, she doesn't choose that option. She's unaware of how much she perhaps has defended Stinky House so much, or there's something else that came into frame for her where she's like, I think I need to choose Pizza House right now at the moment. But we, as I think the viewers, know her ultimate desire. She's not ready to accept that yet or to come to terms with that yet. But we deep down know what she wants. And so we're kind of waiting to see her finally make that choice, hopefully by the end of the season. So I love that constant turning of where we think this is going and how she's contradicting things that she's shown to us, but maybe the character themselves are unaware, even though we can clock it and see it as the viewer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a surprising moment when she calls
Yeah.
Shapiro and is like, hey, let's talk paperwork. Okay. We got there much quicker than I was expecting us to.
No.
So I find that so interesting that because when the episode started and that initial conversation with Shapiro, I was like, oh no, my dude, like this is not how you get Sid on board. That you are making all the wrong choices just from top to bottom. And so I like with how the episode started, I did not expect us to end up with paperwork by the end of the episode. So I was very shocked. I'm really intrigued though, because at the end of episode 3, Carmy changes the partnership agreement. That's one of the texts that Pete sends her of, hey, have you looked at the partnership agreement? So in the next episode, presumably, she will have 2 very attractive on paper offers for her to sign. And so this is, she's been having to make a decision. Like that has been just looming in the background. But in the next couple of episodes, it seems like she will be forced to choose one way or the other. And that's going to be a really interesting source of tension because of that whole monologue and knowing maybe what is the more logical decision of the pizza house versus what her heart wants, which is the stinky house. So which is she going to choose? And we're not sure. Nothing has been signed. So we'll see what she does.
There's still time. And I think it's notable that she is clearly so emotionally worked up after TJ says, but you just said it's not your house. Why would they let you fix it? And you see that kind of hit her and she gets really uncomfortable and she diverts the conversation. She goes back to cooking. She looks visibly just like, oh my gosh, you're right. And sometimes kids do this all the time. They're so clear-minded sometimes and will say the thing that you know is true or you felt has been true, but they just will spew it out there. And you're like, oh my God, I was not emotionally ready to receive that truth, my little one. But that's so real. And I think that informs her ultimate choice. But like you mentioned, the terms of the decision actually are different now with potentially Carmy's choice at the end of episode 3. And so how will that then throw another wrench into her choice? And how much time is there left? You know what I mean? Like, is she going to know the changes in the Bear partnership agreement before she goes to sign this other one and all that messy stuff? So her choice now is almost only in what she thought was the choice, but that's not actually the real choice, you know? So I think that will also be fascinating to see how that's going to unfold. But I think TJ voicing that perhaps hit on a chord for her of feeling that helplessness, feeling like she's got to yield to and defer to Carmy's vision and feeling like she's wanting to make all these changes but not having the autonomy or the capability to do so. And that consistent helplessness can feel so frustrating. We all know what that feels like at work. Anyone who's worked in a large organization or in corporate America knows that feeling of like seeing so many issues that you want to help fix, but you feel like you can't and the system's not set up for you. And so that kind of draw that string out again. And I think seeing the text from his as well confirmed that and the chaos. And so that kind of pushes her in this moment to make the pizza house choice. But just wait, Sid. Go call Carmy, please. Or at least go talk to Pete in some way.
Yeah.
Because the decision's different.
Yeah, it sure is. But I also love that, like, out of that conversation and that, spending the whole day with TJ basically,
Yeah.
that she then makes plans with her cousin to do something
Yes.
fun. And I think, we've talked about for the past couple episodes about the way that Carmi is taking feedback and now starting to
Yeah.
take action. And I think that this was also, an example of that for Sydney, where, her whole life has been the bear for
Mm,
however long this show, whatever length of time this show has been going for. And I think that maybe that conversation with TJ was a
mm,
helpful reminder of like, hey, you're also a person and you should be
yeah.
doing things outside of work as well. And so I love that like one of her action steps is, hey, I'm gonna like make that relationship deeper and I'm gonna reach out and see if we can actually spend time together instead of me just calling you up every 6 months to get my hair done. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a really beautiful example of that like growth for Sydney as well, and
Mm,
outside of the bear. I thought that was really
mm.
good.
hmm And I think also highlights the ways that her and Carmi are very similar. In their healthiest states, they're deeply connected into their community. They're aware of the people around them. They are connected with their people. And in their most unhealthy states, they're isolated. They get tunnel vision. They kind of burrow themselves into their endeavors and lose themselves into something that feels so pressing, because I think it was notable how many times Chantel and TJ are both like, well, you're not really around, and like, you haven't really called us, and kind of that emotional unavailability that we've seen Carmi also exhibit, forgetting to call Sugar, forgetting to meet Sugar's baby, that, so their tendencies in their healthy states and their unhealthy states look very similar, actually. Neglecting relationships or being deeply connected and deeply rooted and having that balance of their ambitions and their dreams, but also not losing sight of what's most important. We've seen Sid, ignore her dad's call. So she's learning to take steps to reach out, be in relationship with other people, and really prioritize that and not get tunnel vision and be in all or nothing mode, which both her and Carmi can do. And we know it because we can do it too.
And I also wondered if that decision to, make plans with Chantel is a result of like her already deciding to go the Shapiro route while she's in the
Mm,
house. And so,
mm,
because like the bear is kind of like all consuming and has
yeah.
taken over her life and taken over her mind, and it's everything. And so I wonder if she like realized that and then
Mm.
internally made the decision that she was going to call Shapiro, and so she's already
Oh.
maybe experiencing some of that like freedom and distance, and maybe has like the space in her mind to be like, hey, I can actually do something outside of the bear. I don't know. That's the way that I read it. We will see over the course of the next few episodes if that's like more the route that she was going, or if it
Mm,
truly was like an in the moment decision. But yeah, I can't help but wonder if those two things are connected. Her immediately making plans
mm.
and calling Shapiro. I don't know.
And maybe like feeling like there's balance that she can have in this path here. It's not perfect. It's not going to be magical. It's not going to be what she says, like there's purity and there's goodness and there's chaos, but it's magical, like there's not going to be that, but it offers her something else that is valuable to her too. And as I feel like we get older, we realize that so much of life is about trade-offs. Like there's no one really great ideal path. It's often like choosing to this thing and giving up this thing that it exists in the other one, but you're choosing that trade off. And maybe that's part of informing her choice. But I don't want that choice for her, Like, how do we find that in the stinky house, So that everybody's healthy too. Like, everyone can find balance. I think I'm still holding on to that. But it
Mhm.
there comes a point where you kind of almost have to like let some of that go too, which I think is also a very real part of life too. So I can see the bear kind of going in that route. I think this show is too warm and fuzzy, I think, to ultimately give that like healthy dose of reality of like making hard choices and choosing the thing that's like the non-sexy option to keep you like life balance. I don't think that that's what this show is going to do, but acknowledging here that that's very real too. Like a lot of times I know people, friends of mine and whatnot, have chosen jobs that like they're not really that passionate about, but it gives them stability, gives them the ability to like be mom or invest in their family. And like that's most important for that season. So like by all means, make the trade-off, you know? It's just as great choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also wondering by the end of the episode is there a like both and version of this where like I don't know how restaurants work, but could it be like sister restaurants or something and like the same like investor is like helping to like pour into like however Shapiro's getting his money, can that person also give
Oh,
Sydney money and they can be somehow in like partnership together but like distinct restaurants? I don't know how things work. I don't know if that's a thing,
that's your business
but I was
brain.
just like, is there, it does it need to be the bear versus Shapiro, or is there some other creative solution that Sydney can come to because she is a very creative person? Like, is
Mm.
there another path here that maybe nobody is thinking about yet? So that was also in the back of my mind,
Mm.
is like, does it have to be one or the other? Maybe it does. I don't
That's
know.
your
We'll
business
we'll
brain
see.
working, finding the win win for both sides, where everybody multiplies their impact. Yeah, I see, I see, I
I'm
see.
just saying is all. Like there might be other options here.
Yeah, yeah, there might be. There might be. Yeah. I don't want her to work with Shapiro. Listen, the man can get the funds, but
Mhm.
at the beginning of the episode, when
Mhm.
she voices an incredible idea around this like incubation apprenticeship program that she wants to launch as part of this, that's inspired by Marcus going to Denmark, he don't even listen to her. I'm like, oh, he was giving me slimy vibes already, but his complete inability to like see and listen for just like 5 seconds, like he literally is like, oh, I was already, and then like completely moves on. I'm like, okay, you're not on my good list, my dude. And I think it's also so important and notable that Sydney chooses Pizza House, but when she's doing her whole analysis for TJ, it's not like she's blind to this, you know? And I think that's notable too, because Sydney says, like, sometimes he doesn't like to share and sometimes he gets tunnel vision. I don't know if I'm going to actually have the ability to make a lot of change here, but sometimes he really sees my talent and like that feels really good too. But he can be difficult sometimes too. And so she's very clear minded and sober minded about the dynamics that will be very real with Shapiro, which I think is notable for when she ultimately chooses it as well. And I think that's important, is that because I think we've seen Sydney have thoughts cross her mind when she's with Shapiro, but we don't know them. And I think to hear like, oh no, she sees everything fully clearly, and his kind of like frenetic, chaotic need to still be the center of it all, but also how much it means to her to feel seen in her talent and really like appreciated and valued in it by one of the best also feels incredible. I think that's really important, is that she sees that he don't really see her all the time, but he sees her more than maybe some do, and that feels satisfying.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting because I've been like, my girl, bail. Like, get out
Yeah.
of the bear. Like, go. So I'm down. It's not great, but the bear is also not great. And so I'm just like, if Carmi is still at the bear, it's not gonna work. If Carmi leaves and Sid can be there, then okay. That's good. I think that could work. Uh
Yeah.
so I think it just depends on like who is present, but
Mm.
I want Sid to be okay. That is like my big goal. I don't care what decision she makes. I would like for her to be okay. And
Hmm.
so whether that means going and working with Shapiro, sticking it out with the bear, but I'm also like, they have 2 months left of cash. Like, and then they have to close.
Mm.
So this is already going away unless something changes.
Yeah.
I don't. even her like, I can't bring my friends with me. And I'm like, ma'am, there's
Why
not going to
not?
be a restaurant in 2 months. Like, yeah, you could hire your whole staff over because they won't have a
That's what I
job
was
in
thinking
two
about too.
months. Like,
Yep.
I don't understand what the problem is here. But understanding that her friends, quote
Yeah.
unquote, being mad at her is actually Carmi being mad at her. And that's really
Mm.
what it is. Because I think
Mm.
she could bring Marcus, she could bring Tina, she can bring Jess, she can bring Richie. Like, they will
Yeah.
all need a job in 2 months.
Yeah.
So she can bring them all. She wouldn't be able to bring Carmi, though. And he
Yeah.
is the one that would probably feel betrayed. So I think that
Yeah.
that conversation also did a really good job of illustrating
Mm.
how much she values Carmi's, how Carmi sees her,
Friendship.
but
Yeah.
how much he doesn't value her sometimes. And she is aware of that
Yeah.
with him. And so I don't know. I thought that was just a really
Yeah.
good, this episode is so good. It's so smart and just reveals so much about Sid and what she has going on.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm. And you bring up an interesting point around like bringing all her friends over, because we've actually seen that happen already with the closing of Ever and the bear bringing all those folks over into the new endeavor and creating new opportunity that way. So yeah, like when she said that, I was like, but why not though? Like bring them all. They're trained up. They're ready. I think there's maybe some challenges with figuring out like Shapira's vision. Like in a lot of ways, I mean, Shapiro can see her a little bit more clearly and all, but he's got a lot of Carmi tendencies in him too, like the barreling forward, the like getting caught up in his own vision and kind of not seeing her as well. So I'm like, you're going from one Carmi to another version of Carmi that's maybe a little bit better than the current Carmi, but a lot of those dynamics of her feeling maybe not seen, maybe like bulldozed over, they're not actually going away. And I think that's also like the product of being like around talented people too, is that there's such like momentum and vision and they get so excited that that's not necessarily going away that easily. You're not jumping ship from one thing to another perfect thing. The grass is not greener. So that's why I'm like, just make it work here, okay? but so much of her staying, I think, is really dependent on Carmi's growth, unfortunately. And her being able to, like, how long is she going to wait? How long is she going to see this through? How long is she going to let Carmi just flail? And I think the text series that she receives from him at the end before she makes that call feels so significant because it's indicative of Carmi just like spewing things and tossing things over the fence at her without any regard for the chaos that can cause in her. Oh my gosh, there's this big problem. Red alert. Okay, just kidding. The facts got it. Just kidding. They don't. Okay, no, it's all good now. It's like, is Carmi aware of the emotional whiplash that causes for her, or is he just spewing at her and she just has to like receive? And I think that it's like kind of almost like the final thread that maybe breaks for her when she just makes the final phone call to call Pizza House.
Yes, call Pizza House and make Jen very sad.
Yeah.
But
She's calling Pizza House on episode 4, so we've got
exactly.
plenty of runway to undo this thing,
Yep. Nothing
Yes.
has been signed yet.
Nope.
They're just talking about paperwork.
Yeah.
And we know how long it takes Sid to fill out a piece of paperwork because we still have the Bear partnership agreement from like seasons ago that she still hasn't signed. So like our girl takes a while with paperwork and that is working to your benefit.
Yes. Take your time, Sid. Don't make any rash choices, okay?
Yeah. Maybe Stinky House can turn it around. Mm-hmm. Maybe Sid will get a star and then Stinky House will be like the next great thing, Yeah. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. One of the dimensions of this episode that I really loved is getting to see Sid and TJ cook together. I think that was a really beautiful moment. We've seen, the bear talk about cooking for others as an act of love and of serving others and caring for others. I particularly remember the scene where Sid makes a beautiful omelet for Sugar when she's pregnant. So we've seen Sid show care by cooking for people, but I loved that we got to see them do it together. And the way that preparing food is a communal experience, and there's conversation and bonding that happens by collectively putting together a meal, I feel like was so beautifully displayed in this episode. So I loved that addition. That's not just like cooking and producing a plate of food at the end, but even the process of it and having others join in or being given a task is almost just as satisfying as getting the meal at the end as well. And just reminded me a lot of like instances growing up, like cooking together, like making dumplings with my family or being at a friend's house and the friend's mom feeling comfortable enough to be like, hey, can you like go wash these over here? And it actually made me feel less like a guest and more a part of the family. And just those little dynamic differences, I think was really notable. So Sid kind of allowed TJ to be included in the process instead of TJ just sitting and Sid cooking for her and then putting a plate of food in front of her at the end. There's something about doing it together that's just as satisfying. So I loved seeing that little bit of her getting to teach her how to grate the cheese and all that stuff. So that was really cool.
The other thing that I loved about that scene is that she cooks Hamburger Helper, like
Yeah.
they have to go out and buy that and then buy all of these other ingredients. And even though they had to go to the store and purchase stuff,
Mm.
Sid doesn't buy something that she would normally buy or she would normally cook. She buys things that are really accessible for
Yeah.
TJ and Chantel, who can't cook. And so I love that choice that she's not cooking for her palate or her context, but she is cooking something that is more accessible to her family
Mm.
that isn't into fine dining the way that she is. And so I thought that that was really notable. Like, you have to go
Yeah.
to the store anyway. Why not buy what you want? But that's
Yeah.
not maybe what TJ would want. And so
Mm.
I love that choice. Again, I think that speaks to that care that Sydney has, and caring for people through food sometimes looks like making Hamburger Helper, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so I thought that that
Mm-hmm.
was really beautiful as well.
Mm-hmm. But then also like putting her touches on it and like elevating it a little bit in the way that they want to. Okay, the luxury of freshly grated cheese, specifically freshly grated Parmesan cheese, is next level because I always have the internal conflict of like, well, if I just buy the pre-shaped one that comes in the can or the jar, it'll last longer, it doesn't expire as quickly, I can use it for longer. Like financially, I'm like, that's a better choice. But the luxury of indulging on like a $7 hunk of cheese that you just need a few shavings of, that is incredible. And you can really taste the difference. And so Sid adding those little like splurges of like high quality cheese to be included in with the hamburger helper, I thought was really cool too. So I was noting that because that looked like a luxury, just so flavorful. I could like smell it through the screen. And so she's able to like add those touches of like, oh no, we love quality ingredients and we're gonna infuse it in here in just these little ways. It was really cool too.
Yeah, it's such a fun episode, and I loved all of those moments between her and TJ. I thought that they were so
So
sweet
good.
and just so like true to life too. Like at first TJ is like super standoffish and like,
Yeah.
who are you? Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to talk to you or listen to you or anything. And then by the end gives her a big old hug. Like that's just it's I don't know, that just felt so real and so true to life. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so great. It's so great. Okay. Any other last big things from this episode that we wanted to make sure we touched on before we give out some awards?
I did want to shout out that this episode was written by uh Ayo Debris and Lionel Boyce, who plays Sydney and Marcus in the show. And so
I know. I
we
love them.
love
Like,
Sid, we love Marcus, and these actors, now writers, are just
yeah.
doing work. And like, man, just such a well-written episode, just phenomenal. So
Yeah.
I loved it. And I love that they were the ones that wrote this. It's great.
And I think it's so wise of the production team to make this choice because so much of this episode, I mean, really is all centered in this family dynamic and being able to capture that in a way that feels really authentic and how these family members like banter together and joke with each other and relate to each other and capturing that in a way that feels really grounded and rooted. I think that was really important too. And so just the wisdom to know, like, no, I think you are best to write this and to capture these moments that feel grounded and that people that can really resonate with. So I think that was also just a really wise choice too. And I love the idea of them working together. So cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Exciting.
More of that, please. Like, this is
Yes.
a fantastic episode. So please continue to collaborate together because it
Yeah.
produces some really, really magical stuff.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to give one last little shout out to the moment where TJ tells her at the end, I think you should work wherever you want. Oh, I thought that was so meaningful because clearly Sid is debating between these two very big choices. And I think so many times the people in our life will have opinions about one way or the other. And they have their point of view on which one you should choose. And I think TJ was able to offer just this like autonomy and freedom and permission to be like, you're gonna be amazing. She says, I think you should work wherever you want. You're an amazing chef. You're an amazing cook. And it's like affirming, like, you are talented. It doesn't matter where you go. It's going to be great. And releasing the pressure of feeling like you have to make the right choice or that one choice is the path for you, I think was also really freeing. And so hearing that from TJ, I think was really beautiful to see. And I feel like I've experienced like little moments like that in my life too, where I'm like debating between a choice and I'm getting so spun up in it. And just someone being like, no matter what you choose, it's going to be good is so weight lifted off of you and kind of releasing what feels like a huge choice, but it's going to be okay. And so I loved TJ's like wisdom and awareness of that and knowing exactly what Sid Maiden needed to hear in that moment and just like setting you free to be like, wherever you go, it's going to be amazing. So don't overextend your mind and get so worked up about the right choice. That's so good.
Ugh. And for this little kid to be able to like zero in on that, so incredible, man.
Yeah.
Kids they're paying attention. They pick up on
They
more things than
are.
we think they do.
Yes. They're so wise. They're so
Mm-hmm.
wise. Okay, let's give out some TVNS awards. So the first category is for Top Chef. What's your choice for this one?
I want to give this to Chantel for just being a fun person. Oh my gosh. I just loved her. All of her
Yes.
chaotic energy that she brought, everything she was doing. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to hang out in this house for so long.
Yes.
She is a welcome
Yeah.
addition. I hope that we see her again. Ugh, what a blast.
Such presence. Like she's one of those personalities.
Yes.
We all have people in our life that are like this, where they enter a room and you just feel the life and the energy brought. And then when they leave, you're like, oh my gosh, no, come back. We miss
Yeah.
your presence. You know, like the void of them is so great because they're just so colorful, so
Mhm.
energetic, so full and vibrant. And we just like, it's like magnetic. We just want to be around them. Yeah. She was great. Like when she comes barreling through the door at the end of the episode, I'm like, she's back. Yes.
Right.
What has she gotten up to in the last
Right.
5 hours?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. She's carrying all these bags with her. Like, okay, what did we get on our shopping trip? Like,
And she's the type of person too. Again, we all have people in our life that always got a story about something, you know, like
yes.
gotten up to something. So good. I'm going to give the Top Chef Award to the tomato paste for being the
Oh,
MVP of this
yes.
dish, deepening the flavor. Just a little goes a long way. Really great. Anyone that cooks knows that tomato paste is just a little bit, adds so much. So love that.
Excellent.
Good job,
That's a
Sid.
great choice. Yeah. Sid knows what she's doing.
The next category is achievement in chaos. What's your choice for this one?
Yeah, I want to give this to the tea that Chantel was spilling about Darnell having a second family in Texas.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
what? Like, the more that she was talking, the more I was like,
Oh.
what is this story? I need to hear more. So, yeah, that is one of the more chaotic stories I feel like I've heard in a while. So, I want to give this achievement award to them.
Right choice. Yeah. You just sit being like, what?
Yeah.
Sorry, come
It
again?
just got weirder and weirder.
Every
Second family in Texas? What?
that he discovered or they discovered at the baby christening.
Yes. It's
So
so
good.
good.
I'm gonna give Achievement in Chaos Award to Sydney's word vomit by the end of her monologue.
Heck yeah.
It's so good. It's so funny. And
Amazing.
TJ's taking it like champ. She's following.
Hmm.
Okay, so the pizza house though.
Yeah. Pizza, not stinky.
Yeah. And you got games there.
Yeah. Hello. Clear
Yeah.
winner.
Which then leads it into the next spiral of like, yeah, but sometimes they don't want to share the games, but then I like to play the games. And you're like, okay, something more is happening before me.
Yes.
It's so good. Spiciest line given to a line of dialogue in this episode.
I want to once again give this to Chantel. She is my MVP for this episode. Where
Yeah.
after that phone, or at the end of the phone call, when she is trying to say, "Hey, don't call me directly," then she ends it with, "Have a beautiful day." It's just like there's so much fury below that "Have a beautiful day." I absolutely loved it.
You see her like corporate voice with the
Oh,
eye
yes.
rolls, and I'm like, oh, the way I know exactly what that's like.
I loved it.
Yes, thank you. Uh-huh. Okay, bye now. Kill him with kindness,
Yep.
really. Oh, that's so funny. I'm gonna give this award to a line that's not said in the episode, but it was recounted by TJ to her teacher when TJ is actually right, gives the right answer, and the teacher gets upset. And TJ says to the teacher, apparently, your face is red. To which
Oh,
she
it's
gets sent to
so
the
good.
principal's office. But I would love to have seen that moment. It's so satisfying. And TJ's so
Oh,
matter of fact about it. She's like, and then
yeah.
I told her, your face is red. Oh, so good.
Oh, it's so good. I loved that.
So
Ugh,
cute.
this is such a good
I
episode.
know. This is so
Wow.
good. Yeah. Let these two write more episodes, please. They're doing a
Hello.
great job. They're doing an amazing job. Like,
There's one other little like
yeah.
moment that I would love to shout out because I thought it was so funny. It's like in the beginning of the episode, and Chantal tells TJ to go find the hair and like bring it down. And TJ yells back, there isn't any. And then she's like, damn. And Chantal is silent, staring up at the stairs. And you see Sydney do a full like 180 in her chair to look and turn and look at Chantel's face. It is hilarious to watch her face. Oh my god, I loved it. And the turn, like it lasts so long and she goes all the way around. It's
Yes.
so funny. So it's all those little details in this episode that I think make it really hilarious.
And not knowing what Chantel's going to do next. You're like
Yeah.
waiting for the moment to explode into
Yep.
something. It's either going to be silly, it's going to be pissed, it's going to be
Yeah.
something, but there's an emotion that's brewing. Yeah, so good.
Oh,
One other
amazing.
thing that I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention, that I was really thinking about, especially when Sid was getting her hair done, is how much I felt like the absence of Sid's mama and like that role that Chantel is
Yeah.
able to fulfill. I feel like that was all subconsciously woven in there as well. I feel like it's something that we know cognitively and Sid's talked about and her father have had conversations about, but almost like feeling it in this episode I thought
Mhm.
was also really well done without having to ever talk about it. They don't have this whole conversation about her mom or whatever, but it's felt, and even just like the process and the act of getting her hair done is something that like would have commonly maybe been a moment shared with her mom, that I feel like
Mm.
that difference or the reframing of that activity together, and Chantel being able to fill that role and some of that like mothering, nurturing energy that I'm assuming Sid doesn't have as much of in her life. I think was also like subconsciously all there at the beginning of the episode. So I thought that was a really great moment of emotion that almost wasn't even needing to be spoken, but just felt by us as the viewers too. So I thought that was really, again, genius and smart to weave that in a very subtle way.
Yeah, I had a similar thought while she was cooking with TJ of like
Mm,
how much was like, I mean, Sid missed out on that stuff with her
yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
Like, so just
Yeah.
thinking about like, I and obviously we don't know what was going on in Sid's brain, but do those thoughts like come up every once in a while that like
Yeah.
Chantel isn't able to cook for her daughter because she's not a good cook, so she like doesn't, and so they have crap in their kitchen. And so
Yeah.
like do those thoughts of maybe like does Sid have thoughts
Missing.
of her mom in those kind of
Yeah.
situations and how things might have been different. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that even though her mom is never mentioned, there are these little
She's still.
entry points for us to be thinking about her mom too, which
Yeah.
is just interesting that we as humans go there in our brains, even though the show doesn't ever explicitly say anything. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of fascinating. And it probably speaks to that Sydney probably would be thinking about those things in a
Yeah.
situation like that.
Yeah. And like all those moments seeing Chantel and TJ together, hugging and
Hmm.
bantering
Yeah.
together and having that like mother daughter bond moment, like you can imagine Sydney feeling all of these things. And I think it also speaks to how much the show over the course of these past 3 seasons has gotten us so invested in Sid that she kind of
Yeah.
just feels like our friend. And then you empathize with your friends and you imagine what they may be thinking about, even if they don't say it. And so we remember all of these details about Sid and all of things that she's shown or voiced in past seasons, even like months and months ago or years ago that we've watched. But it all feels so real because this character is so real before us and feels so
Yeah.
human. So easier for us to like really go there and empathize and imagine what she might be thinking and feeling. So I just thought it was just such a genius, subtle way to include that presence in without ever having to say it. It's almost too much to speak of, but kind of can feel it. So good, so well done. Yeah. All right. Well, we clearly loved this episode. So this was our review and discussion and gushing about episode 4 of The Bear season 4. You can find it available to stream on Hulu. Thank you for listening to today's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today as we continue our journey through The Bear Season 4. Oh my gosh, after the next episode, we'll be at the halfway point, which is wild. So fun. All right, well, you can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review, letting us know your thoughts about this 4th episode. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at tvnspod, or email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TVNS and our other podcast, Movies and Us. By the way, we're on video, freshly, newly this season of TV and Us, which is very exciting. So go watch our episodes on YouTube at TV and Us Pod. All right, well, we'll be back next week to discuss episode 5. We'll see what we get up to next with our crew. Some big decisions were made. What will be the next implications of that? Lots to see next. So we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.